show you how that works here. Type in sweep 2. It's going to ask you for 2 rails to sweep a curve along. So what I want is to use the track lines as my rails. And now the shape, I want to select the split lines in between. And this is just creating the sides here. I'll hit enter. Hit OK. Do the same here. Select this line. Select the curves. Hit OK. Hit OK. Now, what you see here is I actually want to change these to the canvas layer. But we have a problem here, and that is that on these side panels you can see it's actually showing us green. So what that means is the panel is actually inside out. We will flip this, actually, just like that. So now if you go to direction, show direction, you see the arrows are pointing out. That is the normal direction, and we want the purple side facing us. You see the green is now on the inside, so we'll do the same here. Alright, that is the surface done. Now what we'll do is select this, drag down again 1,000 to bring us into our next section, which is mesh. With this still selected, I'm going to isolate selection. I'm going to come up here to canvas. I'm going to right click on it, select sub-object layers. And what that will do is select any object that is part of that canvas layer, and only the surface should be in that layer. So it's now selected all the surfaces. I want to join them together, or first, actually, before we move this down, forgot something. Actually want to come back to here, and you see this is all one mesh, but actually it's supposed to be split along these white lines, so that's exactly what we'll do. We'll select a surface, type in split. We want to select the split line that we had, and right now it might be hard to see because everything's selected yellow, but you can remember it's right where these points are, so select that area. You see it's now created 2 different surfaces. So we'll go ahead and do the same for the rest of it. Split there, split there. Now I have 3 objects. And then we will select this and split there. Oh, didn't take it. There we go. So now we can actually select this and copy it down 1,000. So here, isolate it. Alright. Now we can go back, select sub-object layer, join all of those back together into one, and now we will type in mesh. Get this pop-up box. These are the settings you will want to copy into yours. All of these should be the same, except in this minimum initial grid quad, you'll want to set this to 300, turn refine mesh on, and under simple controls, drag all the way to more polygons. That sort of resets everything. So we'll type 300 back in, refine mesh, click OK. So after you've done that, you see all these little squares have popped up. That is the mesh. And right now it still has the surface selected, so we'll actually delete that surface because we no longer need it on the mesh. So while it's still selected, just hit delete. It'll go away. Now we have the mesh. Now we want to explode this mesh back into its into the individual panels. Just type in explode. We're going to use the exact flat command actually. So if you type in EF explode, topologically valid. It's split into the individual panels again, but we will have to join the corner panels, as you'll see here where the split is. You've got a little sliver of a panel. We'll have to join this back up with its corresponding side, and likewise here. So what it's done is made a mesh exactly on the line where we extended. You'll see where it's made is from beyond that point to the extension and back up to that extension, since this is all one curve with a polyline, individual polyline joined together. So that's on the side. Check here. Looks good. Looks good. We'll have to join that side up. Join that side up. This side is all good. Right. Select all of this. Copy this down. I usually do 200, but in this case it is no standard amount, just enough to get it away from this object. So I'll have that selected, isolate it again. I will select all the subject objects, type in weld. After you've welded it, you can now come up to this is the exact flat toolbar. You want to go to the mesh tools, adaptive remesh the selected surfaces. Click on that first and then select all of the panels. It's going to bring up this option box, and what we're going to do is actually change in all 4 of these boxes here and put the number to 0.1. So 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. Hit start. Alright. See the progress bar is going all the way. It's stopped. Everything's done. You'll see all of those squares have been turned into triangles. That is the adaptive remesh. Now what we want to do is take this 3D mesh and actually flatten it to a 2D surface. So what we'll do now is go to Tools. Here you'll see these select pieces for flattening. We'll click that. Select all the objects, all the panels. Select. You can tell that it has worked. It's kind of put this kind of sheen on everything, and it's turned slightly darker, and you can see it's also numbered every individual panel. If you don't see these numbers, then you can come up here to highlights and select this toggle ID piece. That will turn them on. If you still don't see one, then your panel has not flattened, and you will have to go through and fix that. We will have a series of videos showing you steps you can take in order to correct that so that your panel then flattens correctly. For now, we'll go to our top view, and whenever you flatten an object, if we show everything, it'll always pop up here on the world origin, as you see indicated by these two axes lines. This here in the middle where they intersect is 0, 0, 0 in the world, so the world origin, anything will always flatten and pop up here. So we'll take it, drag it back down to the flattening area. Now back in the tools toolbar, you can have your pick between pretty much these three tools. All of them work. I always just select this option here. They all do the same function pretty much. And now what you'll see here is that is actually, you see the blue here. This is indicating type of stress that is in the mesh. So this is a stress level. So you have blue here. What you want is to actually get the panel to be completely white as best you can. You won't always in every situation, but as close to white with the smallest amount of blue. The darker the blue, the more strain. You'll actually see the colors go into red, orange, yellow, purple. Those are higher levels of stress. You want to get it down to as close to white as possible, or the blue value to be as close to white as well. So what I'll do is, actually I'll select this button, the one I use the most. And you'll see it'll actually stretch and pull the flattened piece to try to relieve some of that stress. So these have all turned white. Now what we're going to do is use this spring command, and what that will do is relieve the stress from it even further and flatten it better. So hit OK. You see it's going to run through every individual piece. It's usually pretty quick unless you have a really large panel. So hit OK. Now what I want to do is align all of these panels in a way that matches here, and luckily they'll keep able to do that. So I already know from the shape that panel 5 was the center panel. You can confirm that by coming back here, selecting this, and you see panel 5 is right here in the middle. So I want to just sort of align this and straighten it up a little bit. I'm going to type in, select this, type in rotate, select the outermost corners, and now it's going to rotate the panel. If you hold shift, it'll lock onto 90-degree intervals. So now it's locked on straight. I'm going to want to come up here to this binoculars symbol, and that will find your panels, and we'll keep this to an offset of 5. And now if you actually hover over an edge here, you'll see it turn orange, and if we click, it'll actually bring up the corresponding panel right next to it. So that's its matching side. Do the same here, same here. Now these panels should align up exactly how they do in 3D. So you have panel 1, 2, 3, then it goes 5, 6, 7, 4. As we see here, it is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 4. So that aligns perfectly. Now we want to transfer over those track ends here. As you see, this is just a shape, but we don't know where our track ends are at. So we'll come up and hit this pencil icon, which is the trace command. We'll go back to perspective. And now what we will do here is actually select the point objects that were the blue ones. So select all the points that are on that corresponding panel. You see they've highlighted. We'll right click or hit enter. Now it's asking you to select a model or mesh to trace it onto. Well, actually I want to select the corresponding surface. So these are on panel 1, so you want to select panel 1. Hit enter. Now if we go back to the top view, you'll see that panel 1 now has those points on them. So we're going to go through and do that for the rest of our panels. So these track ends are on panel 2, so we'll select those, hit enter, select panel 2. Select the track ends that are on panel 3. Don't forget the one in the corner here. Enter. Panel 5. Panel 3. Now you actually do have to do all of those tracing onto the panels for every panel individually. You cannot select all of the points at the same time and try to select multiple panels. It will not work like that, and you will not get the correct result. So you have to actually do every panel's tracing individually. So now we have all the trace marks. Now we want to come and add what ExactFlat calls notch tags. So I'll come up to the top here, where there's a little piece of paper with a little A on it. We'll select that. It opens the notch tag box. I believe when you first start, it might have actual text in here. What you can do is actually delete all of that and keep the %N right there, and that will just populate it as a number, and instead of having whatever it has populated beforehand. So I hit add, and I'll add one on every corner. And you see it actually makes a point to the corresponding point. So this point matches that point, so you see it populates 3 and 3. Likewise here, this is point 2. That matches this point on there. So go through, do that for every corner here. What these do is help you actually align in 2D, so that you remember this point is that point. I'm going to actually add remember when redoing this video to move that vert in 3D to this point. So we're going to select OK. Hit close. That's all your